It has been just over a year and just over 20,000 miles since I turned in my free Ford Bronco for this Jeep Gladiator, and I cannot wait to give you my unfiltered thoughts on my experience with this truck and its modifications thus far. Some quick housekeeping. This video is sponsored by Anker Solix, specifically the C1000, which I use to keep my camera and batteries and all of that fun stuff topped off, my camp lights lit, my showers running, and my Starlink connected while I was on the trail with this truck for almost 10 days earlier last month. We'll talk about the Anker Solix C1000 and why it may be right for you a little bit later in this video. So if that's interesting to you, stick around. Other than that, the rest of the content of this video should be pretty interesting. Second housekeeping bit, many of these products have been donated to me. Not all of them, but a lot. Like my Baja Designs lights, to the deck drawers, tires, suspension, the Go Fast camper. The thing is, you're not here to be sold to, so I will not sugarcoat my thoughts on any of these modifications or products. You can watch this video knowing that all opinions are genuine and are my own. If I were in your position and considering spending this much money on my truck, I would want to know that I was getting the best bang for my buck. So you can know that none of the brands represented in this video have had any say in its production and that all opinions are in fact my own. If something on this list sparks your interest and you want to research it further and add it to your build, I have included links to all of the products in this video description. Most are links that do earn me a commission, and that is a great way to support this channel if you're interested in supporting it. Otherwise, take some notes, head to your Google, type it in yourself, or save yourself a little time, earn me a small commission, use the links. A small side story. My wife and I are expecting our very first baby in under 3 weeks, and we are far from baby experts. And we've been turning to YouTube for advice on baby gear and baby tips, much like the type of videos that I make on my channel for off-road and overland stuff. It is incredibly frustrating that every baby product that is mentioned in a video is the best or the only one you need. But the thing is, I know how YouTube works. I know that those are products that were likely sent to those creators. They are doing everything they can to make that brand that sent them something happy, rather than the viewer, you, me. This will not be like those videos. I camp a lot, I drive a lot, and I see a lot of dirt roads, and I want my experience in doing all of those things to help inform your decisions. Ultimately, your decisions are your decisions, and I'm nothing more than a guy standing on a hill that's going to publish something to the internet, providing experience-based advice that helps you feel confident in whatever decision you're making. The last bit of housekeeping, this is a two-part video series. Today we are focusing on the truck's exterior and livability. I'm splitting this into 2 videos to squeeze 2 related sponsorships from this walk-around idea and really just stretch my content further. With the baby arriving so quickly, I need to have a back catalog of videos ready for when the little one gets here. So if you're really curious about the interior mods, my cabin layout, and my theories related to that, you'll need to catch part 2 of this video by subscribing to the channel. Now, while we're on the topic of the baby and my back catalog, I did just spend nearly 10 days living out of this truck in the Utah desert, and I hope to have 10 videos from that trip that will serve as my paternity leave. Those 10 days helped me realize what I use and what I don't use or need to carry, along with changes I would make if I were starting over. So enough preamble, let's dig in. Winston here is a 2023 Rubicon Gladiator with the EcoDiesel engine and the automatic 8-speed transmission in Firecracker Red. I went with the EcoDiesel because I knew I didn't want to do another long-range tank. I had done one in my 2019 Jeep Wrangler, and the tank vented fumes into the Jeep, which was not ideal, especially when I'm planning to expand my family. The diesel over the gas would help me stretch my range a little bit better with that slightly better economy and give me that extra low-end torque that off-road and overland nerds are constantly raving about. Plenty of maintenance and reliability fears come with purchasing the Jeep EcoDiesel, and the biggest one is the recalled fuel pump. Luckily, I haven't had any issues with that, and I plan to have that repair done during my downtime after the baby is here, when I really won't be driving the truck as much. I love this truck, but considering the market for mid-sized trucks today compared to what it was a year ago, I can't say for sure that the Gladiator is exactly the platform that I would start off with if I were doing it in 2024. The new Ranger Raptor is an incredible truck and a great value, I think, for what you get. The new ZR2 Bison is another. The new Tacoma, it just dropped. We have thoughts on that. And then there's the Rivian R1T, which has been teasing me a lot recently, especially the used market, because prices on those aren't as bad as new. Of those, though, the Gladiator is the only one with a solid front and rear axle, easy aftermarket suspension, and a spot to fit a 37-inch spare tire. While I drive a Jeep, I am not a Jeep guy. I don't care for removable roofs or doors. I don't care for the overall interior. The windshield angle is atrocious. The lack of dead pedal makes long drives tough on the knees. The low safety rating is something I try not to think about. And obviously, Jeeps are notorious for reliability issues. From a capability standpoint, though, and again, looking at the options of early 2023, the Gladiator was the best on the market for what I do, and that is why I am currently in this truck. I have one major regret, and that is that I didn't get the Rivian R1T last year when I got this. The quad motor was the same price, but I didn't understand or trust EVs as much as I do now, especially as an overland platform. After being around them and seeing some of their capability and the growth of the aftermarket options for them, I now see that I missed a significant opportunity to share how EV could be kind of reliable. It could be a viable weekend adventure mobile. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So before you comment that I should still do it, and I want to, the issue is the truck that I would get from Rivian in 2024 is nearly $100,000. And even though I may look like I'm rolling in that YouTube money, I am not, and $100,000 for a truck, it's not in the cards. Okay, that about covers it for the general information. I'm gonna walk through the build from the front to the back, starting with the front bumper. This is the AEV EX front bumper. I love the look of this bumper, but it is expensive. Oh my gosh, is it expensive. I paid for it with a discount from AEV, which was basically their dealer pricing. And it is a super complicated self-installation. And for the price, I don't know if I really feel like I'm getting what I had hoped to get out of it. Made from boron stamped steel and designed to meet crash standards, this is arguably the safest Jeep bumper on the market, and that is the second reason after looks as to why I opted to add it to the Jeep and ignore that insane price tag. However, if I were starting over, I would likely go another route. The nearly $4,000 that this bumper costs could get you a lot of fuel for adventures and a bumper that holds a winch and lights without the headache of this install and price tag. Normally, I would have a skid plate covering the Baja Designs light underneath it, but while I was on that monsoon trip in Canada, when was that, like back in November? It was forever ago. It fell off and the bolts rattled loose, likely because I forgot to put Loctite on them, although I swear that I added some. Now, I can't say that that is any fault of AEV. That's all on me. I have since purchased new bolts, cost $200 for a box of bolts from AEV, excuse me, and a new bottle of Loctite, which I got off Amazon and was much cheaper than I'm sure AEV would have sold it to me for. If there was an AEV logo on Loctite, it would probably be $100. So I'm not in the mood right now to spend a week tearing this bumper apart to put it back together, and that's why it looks the way it does. As for the winch, this is the first time since the launch of the War on Xeon 10S Platinum series, 10S Platinum is what I've had on all my previous vehicles, that I haven't had one. And truthfully, I am glad to have a traditional clutch again. I don't have to worry about the wireless remote being dead or if the drum is spooling correctly. All of the woes that come with that wireless winch, I'm not worried about. Everything is visible and easy to reach on the Warn Xeon 10S, non-platinum. And although Warn did donate this winch to me and to the build, it is much cheaper than the platinum version and much easier for me to say, hey, I like this winch. I think you should own one too. And it doesn't cost you almost $1,700. The fair lead is the Factor 55 Hawes fair lead, and rather than the large ultra hook like I have run in the past, let's be honest, Factor 55 gave that ultra hook to me, so I ran it. This time, I kindly asked them for the E flat link to have some fancy recovery jewelry on the front, but nothing to distract from my overpriced bumper. Because the bumper should really steal the show, right? That's where all the money went. I have come up with some janky mounts to mount my Baja Designs LP6s into the hoop of the AEV bumper. It mostly works there. I don't love it. I need to change it. The mounts on rough trails, they rattle, and I just don't feel like I have it locked in exactly how I want it yet. So that may change in the future. I do get a lot of questions about overheating on the diesel, and I mean, I rightfully so, look at all the junk blocking the grill. So while I have had it chug up hills and do everything just fine, it hasn't pulled me over to the side of the road yet, is how I'm gonna say that. Removing these large lights and maybe relocating them or thinking of something different could help with airflow. The thing about removing the lights is that the camera relocation kit would look quite out of place and very phallic if I left it there without the lights around it. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm still formulating thoughts on this area of the truck, and it might change. I don't know. I haven't replaced the factory fog lights yet. I keep going back and forth on SAE or non-SAE from Baja Designs, and right now I am leaning towards the SAE with Baja Designs' new factory amber color. But to add those requires taking the whole bumper apart. So I'm basically biding my time before I have to take the bumper apart and put it back together and take it apart again and put it back. So once I have it all figured out, I'm gonna take it apart one time and put it back together and be done with it. Down below the winch is the Baja Designs S8 in a 20-inch with the selective yellow lens. I really like this light, and I really like this light position. It is the forward-facing light that I use the most. I opted to go with the S8 to have the backlighting trigger when the ignition is on, and then I opted for the LP6 Pro for the same reason. I think it's safe to say that it's a little bit unnecessary to have backlighting on your LED bars, but it has a cool factor, and I would totally do the Baja Designs lights again if I were starting over. I have been very happy with these. When I start the bumper overhaul after the baby is here, I will do a full video breakdown of my Baja Designs lights and their zone system, the differences between clear, selective yellow, and amber lenses, and anything else Baja Designs related. I've held off publishing that video because I'm still talking through ideas with Baja Designs and all of those details on some of the lights and things. I just don't want to have to redo it or present information that I don't 100% stand behind. So up until this point, I have done a lot of research on things that I plan to do, and I hope that that future video will make buying lights from Baja Designs easier for all of you. I think we can agree that their website can get a little overwhelming at times, and it's probably not the best organized purchasing experience for an expensive product out there. So I wanna help ease that pain as much as I can. Working backwards, this seems like a good time to cover the lift, wheels, and tires. One of those common questions we all get in parking lots. All of these components, including the labor from the team at Epic Adventure Outfitters, were donated. The suspension is the TerraFlex 3.5-inch Alpine RT3 short arm extended travel system with the Falcon EcoDiesel SP2 3.3 fast adjust piggyback shock kit. Say that 10 times fast, I dare ya. You can tell I'm reading from a teleprompter. I say we, but I really mean Christian and Landon at Epic, added the Nexus EF 2.2 fast adjust steering stabilizer for the stock tie rod. When it comes to suspension, I am not an expert. Even though it sounds like I just was, I was obviously reading that. It has so many nuances and technicalities that I honestly just leave it to the people who are experts to install it. While there are sure to be local shops here in Salt Lake and across the valley that I am 100% sure are competent and fully capable of installing this stuff, I have a really great relationship with the guys at Epic, and it made sense at the time for me to take the truck up there for all of these installs. So if you have more detailed questions about my suspension, Christian, commonly known as The Ginger, has a detailed video on the Epic Adventure Outfitters channel that you can watch. I don't want to pretend or to know what he knows, and I don't believe I can present it as well as he and the team up there does. So go watch that video if you want all the nuances. The TerraFlex and Falcon combo has treated me very well. I had a similar setup on my Wrangler, and I knew that doing a Gladiator build would be really the only way that I would go working with those brands again. It does help that they are local to Utah and that they are willing to work with me by donating parts, because it is one of the largest investments into a build like this. That said, I am forever grateful to you for watching these videos and likely feeling a tinge of anger at me right now. Sorry about that. But the fact that any of you would even be remotely concerned with watching me go camping or standing on a hill talking about my truck is still unbelievable to me. And I am more appreciative than ever at the support from you watching this video. Thank you. I don't talk about donated products to make you envious. It is purely an asterisk to my review of the products. Please don't take it the wrong way when I say I'm working with a brand on parts. I'm not trying to gloat. I'm just trying to be as transparent as I can. One thing about getting parts donated as marketing material is that I often don't get to pick what I'm getting. Which is what happened with the wheels. As part of the suspension deal, when I asked for wheels, it was strongly suggested that I run these Nomad split spokes. I can never see myself giving up the function of the Nomad wheels. I love the rapid deflate valve and the protection of the valve stem that's all offered on these wheels. And I also love the rash guards because I feel more confident putting tires on obstacles, knowing the wheel won't get wrecked if the truck slips off the rocks. The thing I don't love is the design. The 6 spokes are not my vibe, especially the split spoke. I really wish that this wheel existed in a simple 5-spoke design, nothing flashy, just a classic thick 5-spoke wheel, something easy to clean, something easy to toss mud and snow as you leave a trail, and not too distracting from a rugged aesthetic perspective. That said, function-wise, these are the best wheels I have ever had, not design-wise. I think design-wise, my 1552s, those Turbo Mac HDs, those are gorgeous. But I sacrificed form for function this go round. And I may not love the design, but I prefer the function. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's move on to tires. These are the Falcon RTs in a 37 12.5 R17. Falcon was a paying sponsor for last year on the channel, which again is awesome. And I loved having a paycheck to run tires. I mean, who wouldn't? This year, however, I don't have them as a product sponsor. This isn't any slight to them, but more that I am not sure that this is the tire I want to run forever. The RT has been a fantastic tire as long as there isn't any snowfall. I love it on the road. I love it off-road. I love it in the sand, on washboards and in mud. It's not all that great in slushy snow though, especially on pavement. If I lived in a more temperate climate, I would run this 100% of the time. But the thing is, I live here in Utah, where it can snow without warning in April if it wants to. Please don't snow. It could literally snow right now. I have nothing to do with it. It's just Utah. So as much as I wanted to love this hybrid tire, I can't. We have had the truck sliding sideways on the highway, doing only 15 miles per hour in a snowstorm. And that is the last place I want my truck, especially as my family expands. If you live in somewhere like California where snow is almost impossible, this is a great tire. But if you're in, the Mountain West like I am, probably not the tire I would recommend for you. While I was at SEMA in November, I expressed some of the woes I had with this tire, and I got referred to the folks at Hankook, and they sounded interested in working together. They have a hybrid that is triple peak rated, and I think I need to try and spark some life back into that conversation, see what could come from it. I don't know. As it stands, we're getting back into summer, so I'll probably just stick with these tires for a while. As for the fender flare extensions, these are from the Extreme Recon package that is on the Wrangler. As I understand it, you order 2 sets of the fronts, and then you can use them on the Gladiator's fronts and rears. You kind of crisscross them on the rear. I'm not an expert on this. This is very much an install that I left to the Ginger at Epic. So give them a call or scroll to their channel to find more details on how to do that for yourself. Continuing rearward, the truck finally has a snorkel. My wife despises snorkels on vehicles. She freaking hates them. But this truck let me down while I was attempting to do the Pony Express with Rob from Revere Overland last year. The filter, it filled with dust. Like when I say filled with dust, I mean it was caked. It dropped me to a whopping 1 mile per gallon on those super dusty, silty roads. It was bad. So after that, and after I got my hands on one, I went to my friends at Epic and they installed it for me. And since it is from AEV, it definitely wasn't donated. I have added the Skyclone pre-filter as a mandatory addition to this snorkel. This is the real magic of the snorkel. I wish the Jeep shipped with a snorkel and that pre-filter. It is an absolute must, especially on the EcoDiesel engine, and it has made a world of difference. I haven't had any issues since putting it on. Very happy with that. At the base of the windshield, I have a few more Baja Designs lights. These are the Squadron Sports with the driving combo clear lens. I have these mounted to the Z-Roads ditch light mounts. I'd probably say that these are my second most used front-facing lights. I love having A-pillar lights for spotting deer, elk, moose, bears, lions, tigers, and anything else that may be on the road or on the trail when it is pitch black. The Squadron Sports, they've been good to me. I mean, anything from Baja Designs is going to be bright enough for a race team, so these have worked. That said, I feel like I should have gone with the Squadron Pros here. If you're taking inspiration from my build, I recommend the Pros over the Sports here, unless you're on a budget, which, why are you looking at Baja Designs on a budget? If you're saying, I need Baja Designs, but I don't want to, break the bank too bad, then I say get the Sports. Next is on the windshield itself. These are the scrub blade shades in red. I've had hit and miss luck with scrub blades. These shades did well up until about a month or two ago, and it's probably just time for a replacement. I think they've been on for better part of 6 or 8 months, so I just haven't gotten around to replacing them. Honestly, scrub blades, they're good. I still enjoy these blades, and I will likely be ordering another set of the shades with my own money soon to replace these ones. On the topic of colored wipers, I think that they're tacky. I don't necessarily care that these are red, but Scrub Blade's colored wipers are ceramic coated silicone, and I found that they perform better than the, what are they, the HDs or the Platinums that are also made by Scrub Blade. I think that there's now a black version of these though. The red, whatever, it was tacky. Some of you may be like, man, I want everything on my truck to match. I'm getting red wiper blades. Go for it. If I could get these in black, I would. Before we jump to the roof, let's talk about these sliders/steps that I have on the side. They are from Rock Slide Engineering, a refurbished product that was donated to the build. I love these. I have heard horror stories from other owners, and I have to say that as long as you keep them clean and lubricated, they will work well, and they do, in fact, work well for me. They do come with a hefty price tag of nearly $4,000 though, and installing them solo like I did is one of the more unwise decisions that I've made in the last year. But now that they are on, I have to say, I love them. But more importantly, my pregnant wife loves them. Moving on, here is a subtle mod that most of you likely didn't notice. We replaced the Trail Rated badge with a special Epic Adventure Outfitters badge. It's a nod to the boys up there and their outstanding work getting the truck dialed in to the point that it is. And over on the passenger side, I did an antenna delete and added the same badge there to cover the hole left by the antenna mount. So if you want it, I think the only way to get it is take your truck to Epic. Now to the roof rack. This is a new channel sponsor and a recent addition to the truck. For the last few years, I've worked closely with Trail Racks, helping introduce their Bronco roof rack and even putting one on Orlando Bloom's Bronco. It only made sense that when Trail Racks had a Gladiator roof rack become available, I would run it too. So I did. After a few months with that rack, however, they had a change in their marketing budget, and at the same time, Sherpa was releasing this rack and offering paid sponsorship. So to be as transparent as possible, I like both roof racks. I think the clamp system on the Trail Racks is nicer, but the sidewalls and the wind deflector of the Sherpa beat out the Trail Racks, especially the position of the wind deflector on the Sherpa. The Trail Racks did wear down my paint, which sucks, and I wish I had added that Beyond Wraps protection, but hindsight, it is 2020. There is no bad blood with the boys at Trail Racks, and I am honestly excited to stretch my legs with Sherpa as a new sponsor. They have been highly receptive to feedback, and we have some really cool ideas in the works to integrate some of the Baja Designs changes that I'm looking at making. So that would all integrate up there. Currently, on the roof rack is what I call Justin's Folly. This is a Rome Adventure Co. 66-liter box that I built into an all-in-one diesel heater. I have a 6-hour long, it's super long, live stream of the entire process if you want to watch it. I thought that this would be a 5-star idea to get heat into the camper, and while it works, it's a flawed idea in a few respects. Primarily, fuel. I was excited to have the fuel stored inside of the fuel box, inside of the box, and I thought I'd simply just dump my Rotopacks into it when that tank ran dry. Not the case. I have to remove the entire box and place it on the ground to refill the fuel tank. It is a huge bummer and a major inconvenience, especially if it's cold out. Next, the long air duct running into the camper from the roof, it loses heat on super cold nights. And this one bugged me the most. When I had my old heater right on the camper door, I found that the interior of the camper was easy to hit like 65 degrees with the heater running on some of the low settings like 1 or 2. With this long run of hose, I need to run the heater on 4 or 5 to achieve the same comfort level. And if you remember that small fuel tank, running the heater at a higher level made it more difficult to keep the heater running longer because it was draining fuel, and so I was constantly having to get the thing off the roof to refill the tank. Point is, that box is Justin's folly. Man, it was such a good idea. And I still think the idea is good. It's just in practicality, in reality, didn't play out the way I thought it would. And that's not even to mention that it's a large box on the front of the truck. And then as for the mounts, I have learned that the Rome Adventure Co. quick release mounts, they have a slight rattle to them. So with the amount of sound deadening that I have done to this truck, and we'll talk about in part 2 of this walk around series, that little rattle, man, it just gets into me, and I get in this little fit of rage because it's like, man, this shouldn't make any noise. It shouldn't, like, I get it, real trucks make noise, or trucks you use make noise, whatever the bumper sticker says. The point is, I'm trying my hardest not to get any rattles or anything like that, because if there is a problem with the truck, I want to be able to hear it, right? But if something's constantly rattling, I'm going to write off anything else that could be rattling as, well, maybe that's just a rattle I've always had. I definitely won't be doing a box like that again, and it is time to rethink the whole heater build idea before getting a kid out camping with us. That was just a bad idea. The next section to show off is everything done to the truck bed that has made it as livable as it currently is. The camper is a GoFast camper, and it was donated to the build. I have had a decently strong relationship with the folks at GoFast Campers. Started around the launch of their Superlight tent, and while this isn't my forever camper or even the one I see my family using maybe even a year from now, it is a great camper. And I know that sounds oxymoronic, but I really do like this. I often refer to the GoFast camper as the gateway drug to campers. While traveling solo, it has been a massive upgrade over a traditional rooftop tent. And as you price out rooftop tents and bed racks, it makes sense to go with a GoFast camper. I mean, iCamper recently announced their new top-of-the-line rooftop tent, and it's over $5,000. And with a simple bed rack from Extrusion Overland, you're looking at another $2,500 to $3,000. So while it isn't a penny-to-penny comparison, it now makes the upgrade to a camper system like this one make a lot more sense because you're just $2,000 more, just $2,000. Look at me talking like money is nothing. You're $2,000 more than a rooftop tent and bed rack, and you get standing room, a shelter to hide from the elements that can house a few humans without all of them needing to lay down. It's a camper. I mean, it's awesome, but it's the gateway drug, the GoFast camper, the gateway drug into tent campers. So I do have a few gripes with this, and they're enough to say that it likely won't be on my truck a year from now. The first is on a scale of 1 to 10 for comfort. This is a 5 on that comfort scale. The clamshell platform is so razor thin that it doesn't accommodate thicker mattresses or bedding when closing the camper. I've added the Overland soft goods topper. It's just like a 1-inch foam topper that goes on the existing mattress, and it helps. I mean, really only so much can be done with 3 inches of foam in there. It's not crazy comfortable to sleep on. GoFast Campers recently sent me their new mattresses. I say that because it's kind of a puzzle floor, and I'm excited to give that a try. But I don't know how much it can really improve, right? Like, there's only so much you can do with that 3 inches of space for a mattress. The one that interests me a little bit more is just this month, Hest announced a mattress system for the GoFast camper. That's a really cool move. I have been using the Hest pillows for, I don't know, last year or so, and I freaking love them. The Hest pillows are my favorite camp pillow. In fact, I use them like when we just travel, I'll use a Hest pillow. So I would be very interested in trying the Hest mattress for the GFC. All right, so let's jump inside and talk about the camper setup, starting with this video's sponsored segment, the Anker Solix C1000. Now, before you double tap ahead, skipping the sponsors part, I want to say that I really do use this battery, and talking about it for the next few minutes together may be beneficial for you if you're considering a similar setup. The C1000 was sent to me by Anker Solix following the Save Expo in Florida a few months ago, and I was excited to save some space, removing my previous Anker Solix F2000 to put this in its place. The C1000 is moderately small for a 1,056 watt-hour power station at only 14.8 inches wide, 8 inches deep, and 10.43 inches tall. I primarily run the C1000 to power my Starlink when I get to camp. If you haven't used Starlink yet, it can be a significant power suck. I found the C1000 to be reliable, and I didn't have any power interruptions. I also use the C1000 to power my shower, which I have mounted to the Underland Molly panel at the front of the camper. It runs off of 12 volt, and it worked great to take a hot shower over the course of my long trip. While this doesn't have the lights to attach to sticks like its little brother the C800 does, it still has that front LED bar, which I use every single night. It's a soft, warm light that just makes the camper feel cozy. I don't know, I really like it. I've thought lights on batteries were kind of gimmicky in the past, but this one I really enjoy. To charge the C1000, I use the provided 12-volt charger that I connect to my Dometic hardwire kit. I ran this from my dual battery setup that's, well, we'll talk about it in part 2 of the walk around. But basically, I can keep a constant charge on my C1000. It charges the C1000 via 12 volt using an XD60 port, and I seem to get around 100 to 120 watts of input off of that 12 volt. Overall, I've been happy with the C1000. As long as you have a way to keep it charged, it'll run every night indefinitely. As far as me not charging it, we stopped for 2 nights in one spot, and by the second night it was basically dead, and that was running Starlink and charging my camera batteries and all that stuff. So 1,000 watts can go pretty quick on Starlink and charging drone batteries and all that, but if you're just powering a fridge, it'll run it for a few days. So if you just hunker down in one spot, you will be just fine. I did 8 nights and 9 days, and it was just charging off of the 12 volt, and it ran everything great. At the time of me publishing this, Anchor Solix has the C1000 at a severe discount. While it's normally priced at $999, right now you can pick it up for $649. So I've tossed a link into the description, along with links to everything else on this truck that I've been talking about. But for the battery, you could take advantage of that big sale right there. Thank you, Anchor Solix, for sponsoring, and thanks for not, tapping ahead. Hopefully that was helpful. I know it was an ad. That happens. Okay, for the floor of my camper, I am using the new decked drawer. I say drawer because it is a singular drawer. It's not that double drawer that I used to have. I'm not into it. I don't know. I found some workarounds to get my kitchen layout working, but I do miss the double drawer that I had previously. Decked sent this to me, and while it's lighter and provides more storage space, I don't think it's the right solution for me. To make the floor more comfortable, I cut out some of that home gym padded flooring that I just got off of Amazon, and this feels like a genius move. Compared to my diesel heater, the floor that I cut out that's a 5-star idea. It has made it so much more comfortable to stand in the camper without stepping on cold, rigid plastic of the deck. Hasn't held up too well to storing like the Howl campfire and propane tank on it, but I mean, for a cheap Amazon find, it's as simple as just like replacing one of those tiles if it gets damaged. So works for me. I still give it 5-star idea. I am still using the Dometic CFX 355 IM. That is one of my favorite product names because it makes me sound like I just know exactly what I'm talking about. CFX3 is their current line of refrigerators, 55, it's a 55 liter. IM, it has the ice maker. And this has been my fridge since the Bronco days. I like this fridge, it does me well. That said, Dometic did send this to me. So when I reviewed the Iceco last year, which was also sent to me, I said at the end of that video that I was more in favor of the Dometic, and I stand by that. I think that it is a top-of-the-line refrigerator. For a fridge slide, however, I am not using the Dometic fridge slide. Instead, I have an Alucab tilting fridge slide that I purchased from OK 4-Wheel Drive. I drilled holes into the base of it so that I can mount the fridge using Dometic's threaded inserts that they have in the bottom of their refrigerators. I really have no regrets with this combo. Inside, I strapped filtered water from my Dometic water jug, which was also sent to me from Dometic, thanks guys. My small propane tank from Ignic, and my shower water to the driver's side of the Underland Molly rack. I paid for the Underland Molly rack and the propane tank and its case. I mean, some of these smaller things I just pay for because I don't want to have to owe a brand a video for something that cost $100. You know what I mean? I think that's probably one of the more primitive storage solutions that I have. in the entire build, but it just works. So under the shower, I keep my toilet. This is the clean waste toilet, and it packs up small and has made living in the wilderness much easier for both my wife and I, because when nature calls, you answer, right? On the outside of the camper, I have 2 sets of MaxTrax Extremes over on the passenger side. Those were sent to me by Adventure Imports when they were the ones importing them prior to the sale of MaxTrax to Rhino Rack. So to mount those, I get asked this all the time. I just drilled straight into the side of the Go Fast camper, and then I upgraded the struts on both wings, so the left and right side, to hold the weight of whatever I put on those. Another 5-star idea that I had is I drilled the MaxTrax hole pattern on the driver's side of the camper, but I used a Trailrax MaxTrax Molly panel and I flipped it backwards to create a modular storage system. So this allows me to run a shovel and an axe, or a heater and fuel, or just fuel, without drilling new holes into the camper every time I want to change something up. I'm actually really happy about this idea, and I've enjoyed this storage flexibility. So if you have a Go Fast camper or another camper and you don't want to constantly be drilling holes in it, get a MaxTrax mount, flip it around, and Bob's your uncle. On top of the camper, and let's start with the driver's side, I have a Rome Adventure Co. Arc 270 awning. This was donated by Rome Adventure Co. by request of me. I asked them for it, and they were polite enough to send it to me. I've been holding out for a Kinsman Hardware awning, and I thought, man, they're gonna get back in the game. That's the one. It is the best awning out there, but it looks like they have ceased operations, and any hope that I had of getting what I think is the best awning ever made is now, it's just a fleeting dream. It's impossible. So to say I settled for this is, well, it's a true statement. But it was only after seeing it in person and seeing that I didn't need to have the legs deployed all the time that I was like, all right, that will work. This awning has done a great job keeping me dry in the rain and hidden from the sun in the sun. My only complaint is that the zipper on the case, we'll call it a case, on the bag, whatever, the exterior zipper, it has filled with dust, and it gets really hard to close. So you got to keep that zipper clean or lubricated. I actually broke one of the string pulls on the zipper because I pulled on it too hard. So it's not the end of the world, but for a product that, had I spent the $1,200 on it, I would be reaching out to them and saying, hey, please replace this puller. On the passenger side, I have a Rome Adventure Co. shower room. Again, it was not my first choice. I was working out a deal with Julka, who makes my shower, to add their vehicle-mounted shower cube to the truck when they sent me their double cube, which I don't need the double, so I asked for a single, and they were like, oh yeah, our mistake. And so they sent a single, but it was the non-vehicle mounted single and just like the ground one. So basically, it was a runaround, and after trying to work out all of the nuances of what I was really looking for and what I had expected, they ghosted me. And I never ended up with their vehicle-mounted single shower cube. So I put this Rome one on. I will add a link to the Julka one for you to investigate further if you're interested. I still think it's probably the better option. But this one, it works. And I have had very few gripes with it. Really, the only one is just that it requires stakes. So the funny thing about dirt, if you haven't been in dirt that much, is that when it gets wet, stakes don't quite stick in the wet dirt all that well. So if the base had some other weighted or tied to the truck method or something, it would work much better. But like the awning, who's going to complain about donated products? It works well enough. Up at the top of the camper's rear, I have wired up 2 Baja Designs S2 Sports as chase lights, which have the selective yellow lens. They work, it's good. They're chase lights. Way down low though, there is still one thing we need to talk about, and that is my spare tire. My spare tire is fitted to the factory storage spot, which is a big reason why I picked a Gladiator. And this is really made possible because of this gold track bar in front of it. And this is my only non-Terraflex suspension part that I have on the truck. It is a track bar from Metal Cloak. I purchased this as a backup to the Terraflex bar, and I'm glad that I did, because when we were all the way up in Canada installing all of this, the Terraflex bar limited the tire from fitting, and it was this gold rear track bar that made it all possible. Okay, I feel like this has been a decently long video, And it's actually been the first video I've put out in what feels like a little over a month. I've been building a nursery for the baby and just doing the overall nesting game. So feels good to have this one out. Part 2 will follow it soon. I actually have to clean the interior and do a few housekeeping things to the inside of the truck before I film part 2. But that's on its way, as well as the whole series that I just had of me, well, camping with this truck. So I'm basically saying there's a lot to look forward to. In the meantime, let's go ahead and put our hands together for my YouTube members who are helping support the channel and the content that I make. And in return, they get access to a private Discord that I jump in and we chat all the time. I share my routes with them, and they even go camping with me. So if you have stuck around this long, click that join button and see all of the perks of becoming a channel member for yourself. All right, that does it for me. If you like this video, please like this video. If you have a question, leave me a comment. And if you want to hang out again, well, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, I'm Justin B. McBride. Holy cow, you stuck around for that entire video. I think you deserve a reward. So here's your reward. A little adventure video. Let's go hang out over there. Some adventure should be had.